Are you ever scared when cold calling that you'll get a grumpy grandpa on the other side?
I'm not only scared, Ruth, but it's happened all the time. It could be a grumpy grandma, a grumpy mom, but you know what? I think one of the biggest things, like I said, and the best things about sales is it teaches you to let things kind of flow off your shoulders like water. You know, you realize to not take things personally. So I've gotten many grumpy grandpas, I've gotten many grumpy grandmas, but sometimes people are just taking out things that they're angry about in their own life, and then they just take it out on the first person they talk to, and that could be you. So just learning to not take it personally, because I honestly didn't do anything to him. I'm just here to see if he needs help, you know? But if he's grumpy at me, then sometimes the best thing to do is just listen, you know, say, empathize. If they have an issue with AT&T, sometimes I might even help them with it if I can. And there's been a couple times actually where you turn a grumpy grandpa into a customer because he's like, hey, this person listened to me, they helped me out, and then they may actually have a need that you can help me at the end.
Wow, that's such good demeanor and good emotional quotient experience. And I can see your skin's getting thicker and thicker, like Alina was telling us before. So it looks like a third grader, Morgan, asked, what was the worst thing that happened during these cold calls?
Ooh, you guys are asking for all the juicy stories. Let's see. The worst thing that happened during these cold calls. I think the hardest thing is probably for me, the hardest thing personally is when somebody has an issue with one of their other AT&T accounts, like maybe their mobility account or something that I'm not even in that department, and they're just talking about it for an hour, a minute. They just are so angry at AT&T. I think that's probably the hardest thing because I'm not in that department. It's such a big company. But again, like I said with sales, one of the things you learn is how to solve problems quickly. So that can be trying to find somebody, a connection I might have in the mobility department who can actually help them with that. And they may have a sale in the future, or it may just be customer care. But I think having the perspective of just generally trying to help them helps out a lot. I've had some funny situations though too, where there's like a mom and her kids are talking in the background. She's like, excuse my kids. And then my dog started barking because I was working from home. I was like, excuse my dog. So, things happen, crazy things happen in the world of sales. But at the end of the day, it's about the connection that you make, making them feel important and cared for, and seeing if you can help them.
And you can see how Alina's 5P and SWOT, especially her strengths, are playing out beautifully in her sales role, because she would be very intentional. That's the word you heard a lot from Alina when she introduced herself. And that's something we would encourage ourselves to learn. However you are and who you work with, be intentional, not just be blurry and not knowing what's happened. Truly be intentional and purposeful. That's another word for intentional. And most of all, I can see Alina really inviting God in all that she does. So that's very exciting. Pastor Lee, do you have any question for Alina? Or anyone else put in the chat?
Thank you very much for sharing, especially our young people who are interested in cold calling. Personally, I sent my daughter to a phone sales for one summer in her college year, and the first week she cried every time we went to pick her up. And but make the long story short, after the whole summer, she turned out to be the #1 seller. And so she was very happy. She looked back, and now she's an orthopedic surgeon. She said it taught her everything that what she needed, especially how to take rejections, and how to, in the shortest time, try to convey that you're caring, you're caring, or what you're saying is genuine. And so I would encourage everybody try that. Apply for something like that. But the other thing is, I find it personally interesting is when I get a cold call and I try to waste their time by saying how are you doing and all that stuff, and then I just won't see if I can prevent them from hanging up on me. So I'm reversing my tactic.
I would love if one of my customers asked me how I'm doing. Like when they ask me that, I'm like, you're not wasting my time. You're making my day. That makes me happy. But thanks for sharing that story.